I'm Larry Manti. Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'd like to introduce you to Patrick Murray, who is the director of the Monmouth University Polling Institute. I know a lot of people, sir, know about Monmouth University in New Jersey, but outside of New Jersey, the way people know about the university is because of your poll. Mm-hmm. Is that part of the reason for it?
Well, yes, sure. I think all these universities that start polling operations, to some extent, do it so other people can hear their names. And it's a good way to introduce the larger public to all the other good things that Monmouth University has to offer. We are a little different than some other polling operations, which were started purely just to raise name recognition. I mean, we do a lot of policy work as well. We work with state governments, local governments. We work with faculty here at the university. We work with students here at the university to provide them with real-life experiences and working on a research team to help them get jobs afterwards. And we also work on important issues. I mean, one of the biggest issue that hit us here in the Jersey Shore over the past couple of years was Hurricane Sandy. And we've been the only polling operation that has consistently been going out and tracking the issues of those who have been most impacted by Sandy. So it's a little bit of the national name recognition and doing that fun stuff about who's ahead and who's behind in the 2016 presidential stakes. But a lot of it really is, and the stuff that we're really most proud of, are the things that bring people to Monmouth and pay attention to Monmouth, which is all the good work that we're doing around policy issues.
And not to belabor the point, but you moved from doing state issues to national issues. Yeah. That move was for marketing.
Right. That move was for marketing, and also really because I think we can bring a unique voice. What happened is we started as a New Jersey poll 9 years ago. Out of nothing. I came here and we decided to start this, and we wanted to be a poll of record. Poll that just didn't tell you who's ahead and who's behind and what people think of the governor's job, but why they think that way and what are the most important things that are affecting New Jersey. There is no pollster, living or dead, in the history of polling that has asked more questions about property taxes than I have. And it's because we're looking at the issues that are really important to people, and we see a void in some of the polling even nationally about asking issues about real things that affect people in the way they live. I mean, we're working on polling right now looking at the disconnect between why aren't people more involved in government on a national level? Why are, we just had one of the lowest the lowest voting turnout in history across the country. And one of the reasons is because people don't see the connection between government and themselves, or they feel that the government is now irrelevant. So we're one of the few pollsters that's actually asking those kinds of questions to get an understanding of why that's going on, rather than just simply focusing on the horse race, as they call it, although we do that too because that's for marketing.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get that you do. So, and I think you look around and the polls are about marijuana or same sex. I mean, it's the sexy issue of the day. Yeah. Do you have any kind of a disappointment in polling, and that's the way it's going, to see who can get the headline on the Huffington
sometimes
Post?
It's like people craft questions just because they know it'll give them an answer that will make headlines. I would say one of the things that we're learning with election polling is that I use a methodology that's more like what campaign pollsters, the polls that you don't see. I use a methodology that's very similar to theirs, where we look at the actual voting record of people. We don't ask people to tell us how they voted because they're going to tell us. I vote all the time. Yeah, of course I do. But what we found is that when we do it like campaign pollster, we have fewer wild swings over the course of a campaign. We found a much more stable electorate about who's ahead and who's behind. The problem is, why don't other people do that way when we know it's a more accurate read? Is because wild swings make headlines.
Let's talk about 2016, specifically Chris Christie. How's he doing?
Chris Christie is not doing as well as he had hoped. Certainly he began 2014 as the odds-on favorite, and then within a couple weeks that went down the tubes with Bridgegate, although he was still a formidable candidate, continued to be a formidable candidate. What we're finding in our national polling is that he is the least liked of the potential contenders for the Republican Party among Republicans. This is his problem, is that you love him or you hate him. So while about 40%, he's got high name recognition, and about 40% of Republicans like him, 40% of Republicans don't like him.
You'd think that his internal polls would show the same thing. He says he's moved up the timetable on his announcement. Right. Do you see a scenario where he doesn't run because of this polling?
No, I think because what they realize is that there's before you get to Iowa, there's a couple of things that you have to do, which is first you have to win the money, then you have to win the leadership. You have to be the one that the leadership feels is the most electable. That's been his argument all along, and he still feels that that's the argument that he can push forward. And then what you do is you enter Iowa, the first caucus, with yourself and a bunch of conservatives who are going to split the conservative vote. The idea is that you thread the needle with the moderate vote. That's what he's hoping to do. So it doesn't matter that the conservatives don't like him because they were never going to vote for him at all. The thing that upsets his game plan here is the entry of Jeb Bush into this race. Jeb Bush is appealing for the same donors, the same leadership, and the same voters as Chris Christie, because the Tea Party people don't like Jeb Bush either. Not as much as they don't like Chris Christie, but those are the two candidates.
And your polling shown that, specifically.
Those are the only two candidates of 16 that we've been polling so far that the Tea Party says, I don't think I'd like either one of those. But if the party gets behind Jeb Bush, rather than Chris Christie, Jeb Bush will be able to thread the needle in Iowa and
that pushes Christie out.
And that pushes Christie out, yeah.
Real quickly, we're running out of time, but real quickly, what are you working on right now?
We're looking at a number of things. We're continuing to track the victims of Sandy because that's a long-term project. We just released a poll recently on issues around the NCAA and the difference between big schools and small schools. We're looking at relationships. We cover the gamut of all sorts of things.
We'll look forward to it. I'm sure I'll read about it. Thank you, Patrick Murray. Thank you so much for being here. Jersey Matters will continue.